Hello, welcome in. Again, my name is Brooke. I'm going to be moderating this session today. And actually, before I introduce these four amazing panelists here, I'm going to do something to introduce everyone else in the room. So can I have everyone just stand up real quick for me, just so we could get to know everyone in this room, who's actually here and what we're doing. Now, we're going from coach to brand. So if you have owned a brand or a business for 10 plus years, you've been a part of a brand or business for 10 plus years, I want you to go ahead and sit down. Awesome. Next, if you've owned it for 5 to 10 years, you've been in it for a little bit, you got your brand, you got your business, you know where you're at. Awesome. Now 5 or less years, you're just starting, you have a name, and you're going for it. Sit down. Great. Now, you don't have a brand, but you're very interested. That's what you're coming to this session for, and you want to see about it. You want to see how you can further take your amazing abilities. Go ahead, sit down. Great. Well, that's all of you here. Now, let's meet everyone that we got on this panel today. So we have 4 amazing professionals who have been in this industry for years. I'm going to have them introduce myself. For me to introduce myself very quick, my name is Brooke Vass. Again, I was at this conference last year, sitting in the seats exactly where you guys were at. And now today, I'm on stage, very happy to say I am here with Coach 360 at Career Lab. I'm an athletic performer and coach at Lifetime Fitness. And I just moved on over to the Southern California area. I was originally in Boston, and fun fact, I just graduated in May. So yes, I'm Gen Z. But we're gonna meet these amazing people who have had businesses. They've grown from that coach to the brand, and they've been in this industry for years. They're gonna be speaking to you. We're gonna go from right to left. I'm gonna let them introduce themselves and speak on what they're gonna be talking to you about today. All right.
Hi, everyone. I'm Morgan Edwards. I work with Uscreen. We're an all-in-one video membership and community platform, and we help content creators, fitness instructors build their own recurring revenue streams through building an online community through launching your own website and branded app in the App Store. So what we feel really passionate about is just helping you take your business from in person, and then also creating that additional revenue stream and building something just as powerful as you guys have in person, but online. So really excited to chat with you all today, and thank you for having me.
Hey everyone, I'm Andrea, founder and CEO of Ultra Health. We're the first table outside. We help coaches offer peptides, GLP-1s, hormone therapy, all supervised by a clinical team. For many of you, your clients have probably asked you already. I see some nods. What are peptides? Should I be doing these? They're probably on it. So this allows you to offer this under your brand. And I know we're going to talk about brand, right? And expand that brand with more offerings, again, while maintaining your scope.
Hi, everyone. So my name is Dr. Emily. And before I introduce myself, I will say I freaking love branding. So I'm so excited to be on this panel. I love branding and business. But I'm a functional and regenerative podiatrist. So I use peptides in my office for my patients. I'm all about feet. So part of my brand is the barefoot science side of fitness. I've been in fitness for over 25 years. I own 3 companies. One just got acquired. And I have traveled to 35 countries teaching about barefoot science, foot to core, and really how to integrate the human body from the ground up. So if you are looking to really get into global education, I'm here to answer any questions in relation to that.
And my name is Fraser Quelch. I was one of the founders of TRX about 25 years ago. I developed all of the programming and education to support that brand and watch it grow from while we wallowed in obscurity for quite a long time, all the way to a global brand as well. Prior to that, I had my own personal training business, which I'll talk a little bit about as we go along, because that may resonate with what you guys are doing. And currently, I do a bunch of consulting on developing culture, education, programming, that sort of thing for brands, great brands like VersaClimber in the back and others. And so, I'm looking forward to this conversation for sure.
Yes, amazing. So we have a bunch of diversity up here, and I really want you guys to dive in and take a bunch of notes today, because today we're going to talk about the word brand as a whole has lost its meaning over time. But what these four have done is taken a logo and brought it to something that's trust at scale. Now, when people come to show up and work for these four people, they are putting in the work. And I know we have a bunch of hard workers in this room. So that's what we're really going to point at and seeing how we can get from that point of coach to branding and really just getting into these questions on and picking their brain. So I'm going to go right into the questions because I kind of want to pick these people's brains. Here we go. All right. My first question that I have, anyone could take this over, by the way. What was the inflection point where you stopped thinking of yourself as a coach and started thinking of yourself as a brand? Anyone?
I guess I'll go. First of all, I'm going to get everybody to stand up again. Everybody stand up. Actually, I'm going to stand up. So, every single one of you, it was over 10 years was the one you started with. Every single one of you should have sat down right away. Because every single one of you has a brand right now. Whether or not you know it or not, you have a brand. And you're building that brand, either positively or negatively, constantly. From the moment you wake up in the morning, by your actions, by your words, by the things you say and do, and how you hold yourself. So don't sit down just because you don't have a logo. You are a brand, regardless of what you want to do. And I think that I wanted to start with that just to get you thinking. You can sit down now. I appreciate it. I think better when I stand, so I'm just going to stay standing for a quick second. For me, I didn't have that learning, but one of the things that was really important to me is I don't think I really thought about a brand until I was really with TRX, honestly. But that was out of naivety, not out of being smart or not smart. And that's why I wanted to start with you. So I really didn't think about a brand until we started building the TRX brand, and then realized that the authenticity of my brand and of Randy Hetrick's brand, he was a Navy SEAL, he never thought about a brand. He thought about assaulting the next ship. But once we got out there, he developed a very strong understanding of branding. And then together, the brand started to be created, but it was created by around what our values and our beliefs were. And I think everybody needs to start there. And I think as we went along and we started trying to articulate that brand as the company got bigger, and all of a sudden you get people that are less like the two founders coming in who had amazing skills, but not necessarily the same value group. And that's when we started thinking about how can we take the essence of what this brand is and what's gravitated toward it and scale it. And so I would say it's probably year 3. I'm going to age myself because we started in 2003, I think. And so it was probably around 2008, 2007-ish when we started really thinking about the brand as a living, breathing entity because we have our heads above water for long enough to actually think about that sort of thing. I'm going to sit down now.
No, that's amazing. I think also from that, we all have so many ideas coming into our head every day of new things that we either want to add to our business or just new ideas. And right away, like he said, you already have your brand. You've already been going with this brand in your life and your daily living, what you've been doing. So now, whether it's starting to write it out, whether it's starting to make that post or just putting it out there for other people to see, just going for it. All right, do we have any other points?
I'll add a few things on there as far as what Fraser said with the values and the mission of you as a brand. And I love to talk about a person as a brand, not a business as a brand. But Naboso has values, and because Naboso is an extension of me, kind of has to carry some of my values, which is very much trust, transparency, and consistency. Those are my personal values, but that means that's my company values. And every single customer needs to feel that when they experience the brand. But then I want every customer to experience that, or listener, when they hear my content. Or if I see a patient, my patients come to me and I'm not under insurance, so they're doing cash-based, finding me because of my content, and they're getting the impression of trust and transparency and consistency because of my content, and that's why they want to pay cash to see me. So that's, I think, really important as a brand is who are you, what defines you, truly be consistent in what that is. I'm very protective of my social media because I'm sure you all vouch that if you're going to a business or a person or a doctor, You don't Google them. You go to IG or to some sort of social media and you vet them out, which seems crazy, but that's how I vet out a restaurant if I want to go to a new restaurant. So same thing with a person. So I do not drink on my social media. I do not talk about politics. I don't talk about anything that could sway in any direction. I'm very brand consistent and trustworthy and very aligned in what my mission is on my Instagram and then through everything that I do.
That's amazing. Adding consistency to like any page or platform that you're on, whether it's a website, something that you're first putting out, even flyers, different things that you're putting out anywhere, social media, or also behind the scenes, just in your gym, in your facility, anything like that. That consistency is what's going to get clients and new people coming in really involved and actually understanding here.
Yeah, and I want to add to that because something that we see coaches do is like your brand matters, right? You've built this trust. And when you're trying to add new revenue streams, sometimes the mistake I see is they refer out. Someone asks for a supplement, you send them to a completely different website. Maybe you get an affiliate code or like a research use only peptides and you get an affiliate code. And then you're sending them out of your ecosystem. It was exactly why we built what we have so that you can offer this as part of your brand. Again, it always should feel like they come to you. You're the conduit to everything else. And whoever you partner with shares those same values, right? And so that continues to build on that trust where everything is part of your brand.
Yeah, and just to add on that, I think that there's a lot of pressure with you guys being the brand and being your brand of your business, but that's where, as you we all know there's just so much time in a day and you can only have so many individual clients. I think that's where expanding under your brand and building revenue streams that you really trust and believe in, as you just mentioned, it's really important. So we firmly believe that like a membership, a community is a really solid part of your brand. But that's where too, you can expand that. But that's where I do want to double down, like ownership. As you guys expand your brand, as you expand your revenue streams, making sure you have ownership of your community, you have those email addresses, you have control of that is really important.
I think that's amazing points. And we're going to kind of go more into this for my next question here, actually. So now we know we have the brand and we know exactly kind of how to find it and the way that we're going to stay up to date with it and doing it. But now let's go back to step one, actually. Before you thought of this brand and this thing, I know for at least me personally, I have 1,000 notes in my notes app of new things that pop into my head every day. I'll just pull out my phone, I'll write it down in my notes app, it's gone. And that, for me specifically, is kind of almost finding a niche there. However, I don't think I actually have it yet because I just have all this stuff in a word scramble. So today I want to see, how did you guys first choose your niche? And then how long did it take for you to actually commit to it publicly versus just saying in the, notes app or something?
You want to go ahead.
Sure. I think your niche is there. It's in the data. It's just more so really understanding your business. Why are people coming to you, to your brand? Why are people, trusting you? I think the big thing is people don't want to commit to a niche because they feel like they're going to exclude people and it's going to actually hurt their growth. But I think when you actually double down on your niche, that's actually, you're opening the doors, you're opening the floodgates. That's where you can actually grow and really focus your business. So I think that's the biggest thing is really just the sooner you do that, you are really going to actually help your business expand and grow.
That commitment is such a great point, and I wanted us to go there. So I grew my last brand to $1 billion, did it again, and now I'm onto my third business. And the most important thing is decide who are you for and who are you not for. And it's going to feel a little bit like I don't want to say no to people. I want to grow, but you have to stand by something. You have to say, I believe in this. This is who we are. This is who we're for. If you're outside of that, sorry, because that's how the people that need you will find you. If you are for everyone, then you're for nobody. And it's really defining that the values and tying that to what you do and who you do that for. And then your brand and everything you communicate reflects that. But I think having extreme clarity on who you are and who you're not as a brand is important.
So I actually want, and I love how they spoke about niche, but I actually want to think about niche different. So I think as a podiatrist, so you're thinking, okay, feet, great. There are thousands of podiatrists in the United States. I was trained in New York City, and there's a podiatrist on every freaking block, right? Why would someone choose to go to me versus the person down the street, right? Is to really not niche by I treat diabetes, but more I'm going to niche and really dial in what my mission is. What is my message? What is my focus? So as a functional podiatrist, that's already defining myself different than other podiatrists. I'm functional. And now I've defined even further because our brand is continuously evolving that I'm regenerative as well. Those are my passions. I'm going even further and I'm going to challenge the whole community and get people out of their orthotics and their shoes. And I'm going to focus on barefoot science. No, I'm going to go even further and I'm going to connect the feet to the core and the fascial system. I'm going to talk about the brain and neurofascial system. So it's not just about a demographic. That's not a niche. That's not necessarily a niche. It could be, but it's not just what it is. It is how do you really dial in? So then when we think about content, which is another question, you're really locked in on what your message is. It's so easy to create content when you are so locked in your mission and your purpose and your brand and what your promise is. You can tell I get very passionate about this. But I want us to think that a niche is not just a person, but really a purpose within our specialty or our education and our degree.
I want you to think about that we've been hearing. Purpose, mission, values, beliefs. If you're thinking out there going, ooh, I need to figure out, that will be the most inauthentic shit that ever comes out and no one will believe it. And no one will buy in, period. And so don't think there and try and scheme a niche. What do you believe? Like, what do you value as an individual, right? I mean, Emily just spoke about it, and you guys spoke about it as well. The beliefs that you hold personally, what you create will be an extension of that. I'll give you an example. The culture that we created around TRX that I referred to a little bit earlier, when we were struggling, figuring out how not to lose it within the company as it grew, Randy, I literally sat in a room and thought, okay, what do we believe in? Like, what are the things that we've created around here? And we came up with a simple acronym, face up. Still holds true to this day. We had some jackasses join the company at one point and try and change it. The minute they left, we changed it back. Fun, authentic, competitive, effective, united, and physical. Now, there's a whole bunch of things that live underneath those big things, but that's what we believed in terms of what our brand should be. That were the values of the company. Now, as I said, there's a lot that goes underneath it. The original question, when did I publicly declare it? Long before. I believed as an athlete that game-breaking plays happen because of your ability to move your body through space. Not your ability to lift a weight. Now, there are certainly sports that are like that. None of the sports that I play, just look at me, right? But I could move. And most of the time, game-breaking plays become because you have an ability beyond your competitors to slow your body down, to accelerate it, to move quicker, to jump higher, whatever it happens to be, to navigate the environment you're in. I believe that from the beginning. And so when I first saw TRX, it made perfect sense to me, right? So I was talking about what I just said long before I ever met Randy Hetrick, long before TRX was even a twinkle in his eye, right? So when you think about what are your values, what are the things that really switch you on, just follow that. And that will take you to the most authentic niche you could ever be in. And everything else will follow from there.
Now, I actually have a quick thing with kind of what everyone touched on. What if I'm scared? Like, I'm coming into this, I have these ideas, I'm following what you just said, but I'm scared to start it.
If you don't mind, I have a very good friend. His name's Dan Edwards, and maybe some of you know his work, some of you don't. He was one of the innovators of parkour, like at the very beginning, not the bringing it to the masses, but he was jumping off buildings before anybody else was, or almost before anybody else was. And a few years ago, I've known him for a very long time. A few years ago, during the pandemic at TRX, we had a podcast, and I was leading it. And I wanted to have Dan on because he's one of the most interesting people I've ever met before. And I have a climbing background, and so he and I have sort of aligned. And I asked him, I said, so, I mean, you're doing this wild stuff with heavy consequences. When you jump across the gap from one building to another with 15 floors underneath you, if you mess it up, you die, right? I mean, extreme consequences. I asked him, so how do you approach fear? Because that's what I'm getting at. And his answer was so good, I've never forgotten. He said, you know, Fraser, I could take you up to a building and show you an impossible jump. Could be like down a floor, 30 feet across, you wouldn't be afraid at all. Say, we're gonna do this jump. He says, because you know you're never going to attempt it. You know it's not possible. I could take you kitty corner of the same building, same drop, but show you a 10-foot gap, and you'd be terrified. And the reason why you'd be terrified is because fear is an indication of the possible. I want to say that again because it's really fucking cool. Fear is the indication of the possible. If you're afraid of something, it's because deep inside you know you could attempt or achieve it. And that's what you should do with the fear.
Wow.
That's called breaking the jump. Did you know that? It's called breaking the jump. I love parkour and like facing fear. And Fraser's right. When you know it's actually possible, that's when fear creeps in. And you literally just have to jump. You have to break the jump. Can I share real quick on something? Okay. So I've been teaching and educating globally at conferences and around the world for over a decade. And I remember the first time that I wanted to do something in relation to public speaking or educating. And I was in med school, and I remember going to my first fitness conference, and I watched someone on stage, and something deep inside me was like, I want to do that. And it was just this little spark. So I applied. I didn't know what to do. Nervous, scared as shit. And I sucked. Completely sucked. It was, people walked out of the room. Like, it was not good. And the reason why it wasn't is because I was trying to present and speak like people I looked up to. Like, oh, I like her energy. I wonder if I could. That wasn't authentic. So what you were saying, if you follow the authenticity, it will always guide you. That's like your intuitive gut. So you know what? I let go and I was like, I don't care. I mean, I really don't care what any of you think. If you think I'm not a good person, I'm speaking from my heart and trying to help people make a bigger impact. And that is through the authentic voice at how I deliver when I present. I always present barefoot, don't care what people think. I also always present with a certain energy and demonstration. And the one thing that people say now, once I found my authenticity, is they're like, I just believe in everything you're saying because you're so passionate in what you're delivering, because I truly believe in the message of what I'm delivering as well. So find that authenticity, I would just say, and lean into it and break the jump.
Yeah. No, I love that because I think too, authenticity almost comes to what we're talking about today. It's how you're actually building your authority, income, and opportunity. It's all coming from where you're starting. If you're authentic in what you want to push out, that's going to keep increasing these things over here if you're doing what you truly believe in, what you truly want to come to these companies. Do you guys want to?
Yeah, I mean, just to add to that on the fear point, nothing is scarier than inaction. Inaction means you're stuck. And so whatever the fear is, the scariest thing to me is just staying stuck and not doing anything, right? Taking a step, making the decision, committing to something, even if it's wrong, gets you further than inaction. So when you think about fear, I would think of like, actually at the top of the list, scariest thing for your business, inaction.
Yeah, I was going to say exactly that. The worst thing is just not to do, try to make a decision. And if you need to pivot, you can always pivot. Everyone's agile here. You just, you choose another niche. It's okay.
No, I love that.
I just want to sorry, I'm watching the time. It's right up there. You're going to mess it up. It's okay, right? I mean, you're not falling 15 floors to your death. Okay, it might cost you a little bit of money, might cost you some time, right? I'm not saying there's not consequences, but you're gonna mess it up. You're gonna make mistakes. Some of them aren't mistakes at all. It's just the way shit happens. It's okay. Don't be afraid of that, right? Don't be afraid of the unknown. Charge into it, and that's really hard. But train for it. Don't just hurl yourself out on the branch and hope, because hope is not a course of action, right? But launch.
Yeah, no. I think fear wasn't one of like the things that I wanted to talk about, but just as we were going here, I was kind of like, it's one of the biggest factors here. And I know for personally myself looking into this too, that could be something that makes or breaks what you want to push next. And now we're going to kind of go back to the logistics here and talk a little bit about revenue. So, woo, money, getting into it. What revenue stream in your business and brand surprised you the most? It could be when you were first starting, it could be as you continued on, but just what was one that came and you were like, whoa?
I mean, I will speak to this because we were actually in your shoes. So my last business was a virtual longevity business. We were doing coaching, we were doing lab testing, we were doing peptides. And the realization was, it's really interesting. There's a lot of revenue to be made by offering clinical services, but it's really hard. And it's exactly why we built this brand and shut down the clinic that we had. But I think I think you're never going to know what's the thing that's going to surprise you until you've tried a few things and you see don't throw spaghetti at the wall. Like, don't go crazy, right? But try a few things that align with your brand and then double down on the things that are working. And for us, peptides, clinical services, when we had that coaching business, that was the thing that stuck with us.
And I think the coaches and instructors we work with, I think there's just a perception that you're just going to make a ton of money on, social media, or it's going to be brand partnerships, or it's going to be one-time courses and, one-time products or challenges. But that's where building a sustainable recurring revenue stream through memberships and through community, I think people have been really surprised of what's possible. And then it just allows you to invest in those that are willing to invest in you. So kind of doubling down on that. But I think people have been really surprised of what's possible with memberships.
You said the magic words, recurring revenue. I just want to highlight that.
So I'll share one of the most surprising revenue streams for me was when a company offered to pay for my likeness. Now, that's different than an influencer. So I'm not social media influencer. I get paid really for the white coat and my voice. So I taught Oprah how to walk in high heels, which was totally different than my brand right now. But my first brand was called Catwalk Confidence. This is during the days of Sex in the City, which, woohoo, love Sex in the City. I do. Anyway, I lived in Manhattan for 20 years. I love Sex in the City. So I was doing the height of Sex in the City, and everything was about that city vibe with stilettos. So it was a stiletto workout. Crunch Fitness had stiletto strength. Where's our Crunch Fitness? Yes, right? Remember? So she knows. Y'all in your athleisure and your Lululemon, your Aloe don't know what I'm talking about. But there was an era. Anyway, so I got on to Oprah and I taught her how to walk in heels. A brand was like, oh, I can leverage the media and the SEO of that doctor's name who was on Oprah to make money. That was my first introduction into likeness. Now, companies pay me for my likeness, but part of what they do is they spin the white coat and my ability to communicate. So they want content for their customers that is through the trust of a doctor, but through a voice that knows how to talk to a consumer, which is my values: trust, transparency, consistency. So that is one of the easiest revenue streams. That revenue stream started 10 years ago, and I still have that as one of my businesses is essentially likeness revenue. So don't think likeness means social media influencer and it's a pay to post, and that whole model is actually really, really changing now. And people are going much more towards micro influencers than this whole, right? It's just a whole quagmire over there where you can just think of consistently you as a brand I would rather make YouTube videos and think about email strategy and SMS strategy and go through different channels that way. So something to think about with you personally as a brand.
I can honestly say that no one has ever asked me or paid me for my likeness, ever. Nor do I expect it to ever happen. This is one of the differences between Emily and I. I'm going to take it back to when I had my personal training studio and when I just started working with TRX, because this was very unexpected, and sometimes you stumble into things. I had a thriving personal training business. I had, a bunch of clients. I had as many clients as I needed to. I was seeing them one-on-one. This is a long, long time ago, and I was charging good rates. I still would have just passed the threshold that was mentioned earlier. I was charging $85 an hour that was 1,000 years ago. And then I started working with TRX, and my time started to get taken up. Like, I had this consulting gig with them to begin with, and so I had to condense my clients because I really saw right away the opportunities within TRX. And I wanted to be able to pursue that. But I had the typical personal trainer's schedule, right? Which was from 6 a.m. till 9 or 10, and then a couple-hour break, and then an hour or two over lunch, and then another couple-hour break, and a couple people at the end, and which means you have no life and no time. And certainly no time to do what I wanted to do with TRX. And so I decided, you know what? I am going to condense this whole business model and change it because I want to pursue this thing. But I wasn't making enough to sort of get rid of it, right? And so I said, right, my hours are going to be from 6 in the morning till 10 in the morning. Period. I'll stop. I will see up to 3 people at a time. Now, if you want to see me as a group of 3, it's only going to be $65 an hour. Reduction for them. If you want to see me as a group of 2, it'll only be $70 an hour. Cool. So this is a good deal for them. If you want to see me as 1, it's going to cost you $150 an hour. I wasn't interested in seeing people. Also, I don't like people that much. And so because of that, I had clients I was seeing like 3, 4, sometimes 5 times a week. God damn, I don't want to see you 5 times a week, right? Especially because then they go away on vacation because they can afford to see me 5 times a week. And then what? Oh, I got a business trip for a week. Now you've taken my prime time slot and I'm making no money for those 5 times a week, right? So they crushed me. Here's what happened. I suddenly went from making $85 an hour, 6 times a day, to making $150 to $180 an hour, 4 times a day. And I had all the time in the world for a consulting gig. And at the same time, I was seeing people once a week, twice a week max. That doesn't seem like a good thing, right? But if you've already got an established business, all those people on your waiting list can now come in. And now I don't have a training book that's only 30 or 40 people. I have an active training book of 80 to 100 people who I'm seeing every single month. Which business is healthier? All of a sudden, surprising revenue, I love to say, I did the math. I was really strategic about the whole thing. I'm going to change. None of that happened. I wanted to do something. I wanted to follow my heart and my values. And it just sort of showed up. But I tell you, if I was going to do for those of you who are trying to pursue your personal training business and you're already kind of established and working, it's scary. But if you're set up the right way and you think you can generate that kind of clientele, you will make way more money and have way more time to yourself if you can go to that idea of small group. Small group isn't a new idea now. It was then. But anyway, there was my most surprising revenue story.
No, I think that's great. It's almost finding time with your revenue streams. And especially I think we have a lot of people who are just starting and wanting to get into that. And almost if you had to take it back, looking at that for everyone, like when you're getting there, but there's a pit hole somewhere, how do you necessarily get out of that and continue your revenue stream once you feel like you've almost hit rock bottom at a certain point? How are you taking that first step to get out of it and continue on with reoccurring revenue, or also with balancing time and still finding the correct revenue where you want to be at? I can take it.
Todd Durkin, who many of you probably know, has this amazing quote that he says, give yourself time to work on your business instead of always working in your business. And I think that's an amazing thing. Again, I'm referencing all the people who are smarter than me. But yeah, I love that one. And that's what that afforded me to do.
I am a big believer in owning your day. I actually don't really go on email, so don't email me because it's not the best form. Is when I wake up, I have my list of what I'm going to do, whether it's 5 things, 10 things, whatever it is. But I wake up and I'm not on any other way that I can communicate with someone until I check those things off. Drives my team crazy because they'll tell me that like I emailed you some of that stuff and I'm not on email. But make sure that you're controlling your day, you own your day, and huge thing as far as not working constantly in your business because you will always be in your business. The keynote that we had with J-Rod was about strategy. That's the other thing is if you say, I want to get from here to here and you don't write your roadmap, if you say, I want to make $5,000 in the next week, well, how are you going to do that? How many phone calls do you need to make? How many emails? How many people do you have to follow on IG? How many? Break it down to the number. Break it down to the number. This is what I tell my sales team. Is the only way that you will hit your forecast is if you break it down to the number. And you can tell I'm trying to sell that company. So I am a hungry motherfucker right now. Right? Because I have been busting my ass. I am trying to be very calculated in my day and then teach my team to be calculated in their day. There's so much noise out there. So much noise. You open IG and you're sucked in. I open Instagram to post. That's it. Right? So just a little bit.
No, that's a very.
Sorry for swearing. I think that there was a policy about not swearing. I'm sorry. And my child is here.
No, but finding that balance, that's great. I mean, she's never. No, we weren't saying anything bad. It's okay. No, but I think
from
that's
New York.
great.
And I think your question was especially like when you're in a pickle, how do you get out, right?
Yeah.
Something I've learned is breakdowns lead to breakthroughs. In my last business, like the thing where we were like, this is not working, this is going to kill us, we've spent so much money on it, that breakdown was actually the thing that took us to $1 billion. So when something goes wrong, that may be a good thing. Depends what it is, but take that as an opportunity rather than, oh, that's it, my business is dead, I'm gonna give up, right? When something goes wrong, it's an opportunity to zoom out and see what is the insight here, because that's actually the thing that transforms you as an entrepreneur and also takes your business to the next level. So I really think when you're in a pickle, that may be an opportunity.
But I also think that's just why it's really important too to diversify your revenue streams and have different aspects of your business too. So if there's a breakdown in one of your businesses, you have other things. You have your clients, you have the people that you're talking to every day, you have your membership. So that's where it gives you some flexibility too. And it's not all reliant on one product that you have. That's, it's under your brand.
Yeah. No, I think that's amazing. That's kind of what we're continuing to touch on here, actually. And I think what all of you kind of brought up as you were talking about that are 3 main things that I want to look at here. We have content, partnerships, and positioning in the 3 things that you are at and how you're continuing with those things. With those 3 points, contents, partnerships, and positioning, what is one that you would focus on to build authority in your brand or in your business?
I mean, I think it's tough to pick one, right?
I know.
The content matters. The content is a face, but the partnerships are what builds what you have to offer. And so we're a business where like the partnerships, right? That's our business model, partnering with coaches. But you can't deliver on those partnerships without the content, without the sales, without the marketing. And so I'm going to say those 2 because I really think they go hand in hand.
And I would say I believe firmly actually in positioning, just because without positioning, you don't know what content to film. You don't know those other aspects. So I think positioning and knowing the positioning of your brand and what you're trying, who you're trying to serve and why, it's actually going to then help those 2 other aspects. So I'd say positioning.
I'd agree completely. And for the reasons she said, I mean, if you know your position, go back to your core values, right? If you know those things and you know what your position is, where you're trying to drive towards, you've got that, then you can go seek the partnerships that you want. I told you earlier that I'm here with VersaClimber. I love this brand. The reason why I love this brand is one, its quality, two, its opportunity, and three, and most importantly, the people that are part of it, right? And so when you're evaluating a partnership, make sure that you have that alignment from A to Z. I'm Canadian, sorry. So none of this Z stuff. So from A to Z, you've got to make sure that you are aligned with your partners or it will fall apart and it'll bite you. And then from there, the content will make sense. Now, it could work the opposite. You could have great content. Position is probably going to be first, and that will bring the partnerships to you, right? So it's a circle, right? And they all feed each other, and it's probably spiraling, hopefully up, could spiral down depending upon how you deliver and what partnerships you pick. So be very careful and tactical with those things. But yeah, I completely agree with that order.
Agreed. So what I'll mention real quick on partnerships is just because someone wants to partner with you, don't accept every partnership. It's like dating, right? Like, do you want to date them? Do they want to date you? They have to match your values as well. Anyone who approaches me as far as, again, I mentioned likeness and some of the partnerships, unless I really believe in the product and the ethos of that company, I'm not compromising my brand just for $1 or for whatever dollars they're putting across. That's not the way that you hold legacy in a brand, is that you have to be very protective of that brand through every partnership. And if that partnership breaks their values during your relationship, you get out because you have to protect your values as well. And then that's the same thing as content theoretically could feed partnerships because then they see value in you. So what's your value that you're providing a company or another brand? Like, why would they want to work with me? Okay, I'm making sure I understand my promise and my values, and then I have a database of content that demonstrates that. I have followers or whatever it is that increases your value so that you are essentially establishing that relationship.
No, exactly. You guys took the words out of my mouth, actually. I was going to kind of lead it as a trick question because one leads into the other, which leads into the other. It's a cycle. Like you were saying, we're going back. You could start at content. Content's going to lead to your partnerships. Your partnership can lead to your positioning or wherever you at, but you're hitting all three of those points actually as you're going. And with all these three, it's actually going to lead me into my next thing. And we're going into now, if I've done all three of these things, but I'm still making mistakes here and there, anything. It could really be anything, any mistakes. What is the biggest mistake a coach can actually make when building their brand or building a body of work? What's probably the biggest mistake that you either see or that you made when you started building?
Can I share one of my favorite business advice or tips? So Gary Vaynerchuk, love his work. I love his directness. He has a book that's jab, 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 hook. And so it's about provide, sell. That's how I'm interpreting this thing. So I started creating free education, 2010, around there, where it would be free monthly webinars. I wouldn't sell the farm, but I would get them hooked by truly giving them knowledge so they would start to trust me and say, what is she talking about? There's a lot of information here. Let me take her certification. But what a lot of people do is they will try to sell before you've established the knowledge base or the credibility or the trust or the connection of value to how you differentiate yourself from all the other trainers or coaches out there. So that's where I like to drip, sell. That has been one of my favorite business advices that I have. And not to go into other things, but whenever I send content or emails through Naboso, so we have a database of over 100,000, I want to protect those 100,000. That is our asset, right? There's value to that many email addresses that are engaged. So I make sure that every email has a knowledge nugget. Because when someone opens an email from Naboso, you never get that millisecond back in your life. So I want to make sure that you are garnering something that is adding to your knowledge base through everything that we do. So we are a highly content-driven company, and all of our marketing is based off of content first, education first, then we sell product. It is not a transactional relationship, and that's part of our brand.
I love that. I saw like 20 heads go down and start like writing notes when you were saying that. That was amazing. All right.
I think the thing I would say, and this goes back, I think, to your first point on commitment. The biggest mistake I see is not committing. You have to commit to the thing that you're doing. I see some people start a business and then start another one and then start another one, and none of them are really going anywhere. But now you are a multi-dash person with the longest Instagram bio. Pick one, commit, and do it very, very well. And you expand from that, right? Figure out, again, going back to like positioning being the foundation, figure out the positioning, the thing you're uniquely good at, and commit to that thing. Commitment unlocks a lot of things.
Yeah, I think just to double down on that, I think, yeah, do what you want to do as well. Do something that makes you happy, that you feel like you're fulfilled, but then you're fulfilling like your most dedicated audience, your, the people that you truly want to serve. Just make sure that you are staying true to your brand with every part of, every new business that you launch. Don't just do it because you think that it's going to be a very profitable revenue stream. Do things that just stay true to the essence of your business, your brand, and what you guys kind of strive to do.
No, I think that's great because too, you can have that one thing, like starting with that one thing. And then from there too, let's say you still have all these ideas that are coming. That's where, that's where you're going to grow. When you have that one thing, you're going to continue growing from there, but just start it. Like what you guys are going to just start it with that one thing, put it out there, and then continue on. Yeah.
There's a quote that I love, which is, whatever you can do or think you can, begin it. Because boldness has genius and magic in it. It's by Wolfgang van Gogh. I go back to that all the time. Sounds kind of hokey, but truly, like, the biggest mistake is not beginning it. We talked about that earlier. And aligning it to your values. Again, I sound like a broken record, but whatever you're passionate about, whatever your values are, drive at it. And then be relentless and be ruthlessly efficient. And I want you to think about that idea of ruthlessly efficient. Break those two words down and then build them back up again, construct them and aim them at what you want to do. And for me, anyway, that resonates and has a lot of power in it. Like if I'm ruthless, it means I'm cutting everything that's fluff away. I'm so targeted and so focused, and nothing is going to get in the way of whatever I'm going to do. And then efficiency, when you start to really break down what that word actually means, again, it's clarifying. Because anything that's not efficient gets tossed to the wayside. It hits the cutting room floor. And you combine those two things together, you will get where you need to go to. And you'll get there faster than you think you can. It's hard to do, right? It's like that finding flow. It's really hard to do. We find it in moments. But as you find it once, you'll find it again a little easier. And soon you'll wear that path where you're on it all the time.
No, that's amazing. I think we've hit so many great points. We got about 3 minutes left here. And with everything that we've said today, we've been going on talking from how you're actually building. You're authentic. You're putting value into your stuff. You have all of these things that are laid out on a platform. And you have all these four amazing panelists here. They're going to continue talking. I have one more question for you guys. And this is something I had to write down because I think it's something that everyone in this room is going to take away something with it. Now, you are all very hard workers here. You've been putting in effort, whether it's been for 10 plus years, 5 years, you're starting, or you're brand new to this. You've been putting in the hard work and the effort, and it is shown, but you still feel invisible. And I think that's something huge, that we all have that little inside thing. We still feel invisible in one thing that we're doing, and we don't know how to push that out there to everyone. Now, for the person in this room who, let's say they do feel invisible in something, what would be the first step that you four would take to get that feeling out and just actually put their things on the platform and just start going? Or if you have another way to take this, how would you get out of that invisibility? It's a hard one, I know.
I know there's one last thing I want to say.
Go ahead.
And it will connect to being invisible. Another lesson I had in my career, say yes. Frickin' say yes to opportunities. Obviously, vet them out and be safe. Don't do the far jump. But my career started globally through Facebook, because Instagram didn't exist at that time, or didn't really. But I was invited to speak in Hong Kong. And I had just created this certification called a Barefoot Training Specialist. Sure, it had CECs, maybe I taught it once, right? But I was like, mind you, I went to school for 13 years. So this was the summer I finished residency and everything. I was like, I am out of prison. I get to go to Hong Kong for free? No, I'm getting paid to go to Hong Kong, which then led to an invitation to Korea, Indonesia, Malaysia, Singapore, China, Japan. And it opened my career. That is where I met this amazing man, was traveling around the world, teaching on a global scale. And you get to meet so many incredible people. But it started with me saying yes to a stranger through social media who invited me as a solo female going to Asia. Like that can be scary to do that. But had I not done that, I would not have opened up and created, and I truly believe that that created the career and the platform that I have. I would have not had the opportunity to scale Naboso had I not said yes to that person. And so that would be one of my tips.
Final thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, Emily said it right, is say yes and just go. Like, just do it. That sounds cliche if you're as old as I am and remember the Nike ads. But yeah, I mean, just whatever your passion is, go chase it. What's the worst can happen? It fizzles out? All right. So what? Like, be bold. Go get it. And then work relentlessly to try and achieve it. And never, ever, ever give up. Because it's going to suck at times. You're going to be told no. It's not going to go right away. There's no overnight. You know what pisses me off is with TRX especially, wow, I see you guys everywhere like an overnight success. I want to punch that guy in the face. What a shit. We suffered in obscurity for years before all of a sudden getting a breath, right? And then, we did some things right. We did some things wrong. Same thing with VersaClimbers, the same thing. An amazing product is suffering in obscurity a little bit now. But what an opportunity to do the same thing I did with TRX again. You know what I mean? Take something global that you really believe in and do it again. And that's the stuff that gets me up. That's the stuff that switches me on and makes me want to chase and be relentlessly efficient because it aligns with my beliefs. The people are fantastic. We want to go. Line that up and feed into your passions. You can see I'm feeding into mine. Same thing we've heard with all of these amazing folks is just go. Get out of your own way because there's nothing to hold you down but yourself.
And I think sometimes that feeling of invisibility is perhaps like, who am I to be doing this, right? Who am I to be starting this business and thinking I can make it big? Dumber people have done it. Like, that's just a reality, right? There's a lot of dumb people doing really well. Well, you're smarter than that. Why not you? I don't know. Maybe you don't think you're smart, but sometimes I just think like, if that person did that, I can probably do that too, right? There's dumber people who have done more than you, and if that gives you comfort when you feel invisible or like that feeling of like, why am I doing it? Well, I just remember that, right? Take that action.
And I think just last thing, like, it is more than just like your social media following. It's your engaged, true, loyal audience. Don't feel invisible just because you don't have 1 million subscribers on Instagram or followers. And it's so much more than that. Like, I think there's just a perception that maybe I'm invisible because I don't have 1 million followers. It's so much more than that. You care about the engagement. You care about the lives you're touching. That's so much more important. So I would just dig down into why do you feel invisible? Should you even feel invisible? But just focus on the core of your business, and it's more than just that number.
You're maybe invisible now, but you're not going to stay that way. right? You're not going to stay that way. Not if you push, right? There's a quote, I first heard it from Michael Phelps, but I don't think it came from him. But it's what you do in the dark that puts you in the light. Be invisible. Nothing wrong with that. For a minute, it's okay. Just keep pushing and you won't be anymore.
No, I love it. We got amazing takeaways today. Biggest takeaway, you're going to go for it. I'm going to go for it. We're all going to go for it. Thank you, everyone. This is Career Lab at Coach 360. Yes, big round of applause for all these amazing people today. Thank you guys so much.
You guys are done. We're going to grab a picture in the front.
Perfect.
Amazing job. Thank you so much. Like they said, there's so... Hello. There we go. There are so many amazing takeaways from there. And just speaking about in action, that is